Good morning, my brothers and sisters, on this, our 184th episode of the Good Morning Guys podcast. I am your pinch hitter host for the evening, Mr. Marc Boucher, and with me, of course, is my good friend and fellow podcaster, the volleyball and beast of the East, who can make you laugh in 3 words or less, Mr. Ronnie Johantis. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm living on a prayer right now because we we
Throw a
are.
little bit of a curveball here right away.
Yep. If you haven't noticed, you're probably not hearing, nor are you seeing if you're watching us on YouTube. We are down 2 Good Morning Guys once again, but not because of any planned reason. So unfortunately, we tried to get Lucas and Pat on here, but however, Lucas's internet is absolutely fantastic. And Pat is, of course, in Brazil with Lucas. Has been for almost a week and a half now, I think. Um, and so their internet is complete crap, and they could not join us for our podcast tonight. So Ronnie and I here are just winging it, and already winging it kind of episode because we are going full on improv tonight. Where
Improving it.
Yep, all the format has been tossed to the wind, and we're just going for it. And so, if this is your first time listening to us, I'm sorry. Um,
I also apologize.
Lord, I apologize. But thank you so much for joining us on this morning, afternoon, evening, or night. Amidst, as we talk about the games, the game of life amidst the games we love to watch and play. You know how that goes.
We
I
pretty
don't.
much just talk about whatever we're feeling, really,
Yeah.
like whatever we decide at the time, and usually video games is just sprinkled in.
Yep. 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 We're a bunch of nerds around here, and we just talk about whatever we want. Mostly, usually there's more planning involved in this, but tonight is the exception. Um, so I guess I'm going to talk a little bit about things that I did this week, new things that I tried.
Ooh,
So this past weekend was basically like super birthday weekend for my nephew and my brother-in-law because my brother-in-law's birthday is on March the 3rd and my nephew's birthday is on March 1st. So they decided to do back-to-back birthday parties this past weekend. And and so we had on Saturday, it was a surprise trip for my brother-in-law. We went axe throwing.
really?
Yeah.
I my dad and stepmom literally just invited me to go axe throwing on Sunday. I've only done it one time myself.
Yeah, this was my first time. I have never done anything of that sort.
How
Um
did how did you do?
Actually not that bad.
Yeah,
They gave us like a kind of crash beginner course of how to throw the axe. And there's actually 2 different kinds of axes that you can throw. They have the 2 hand and the 1 hand axe.
yeah.
Um, Obviously, the 2 hands like a lot heavier and it's got a stronger grip. So you basically have to. It's almost like a if you've ever seen a tomahawk being thrown
Yeah,
or something like that, where they put their arms
over the
behind
head.
their back over the head, yeah, and toss it that way. Or you can just one arm it, and so yeah, they taught us how to do it, and it's interesting because like whenever I want to throw something, like I want to flick my wrist, but
Yeah,
they teach you right away like your wrist needs to be rigid because
yeah.
otherwise it's going to overcompensate when you try to throw it. So
Which one
um,
did you which was the preferred like throwing method for you? Was it the two hand or the one hand?
the one hander for
One handed.
sure. Yeah,
I actually found the same thing the first time I went, that it was just, if it seems harder to throw it two handed.
yeah, yeah. It's just awkward to me to put my arms
It is.
up like
Yeah.
that and try to throw something. Whereas with the one hander, you've got it basically out, and then you kind of have to throw it that way.
Yeah. It seems like you can be more accurate with one hand too. Like you kind of
Yeah,
throw it where you want it.
Yeah, I got the hang of it after a little bit. A lot of my throws were like, it overspun or the axe, basically hit the target, but it didn't stick the target, if you know what I
Yeah.
mean. Just kind of
Yeah, you
bounced
got to
off
get
the
that
target.
small, like that little bitty window where the blade is. Like you just got to get a piece of that.
Yeah. Yeah, but when it does hit and everything just connects right and you just toss it just right, feels real good.
It does feel great. It's like hitting a good, like clean golf ball or something. Like
Yeah.
it nothing hurts like when you hit a good shot. Like
Yeah.
your body just automatically feels better about it.
Yeah. So I actually did get a couple of bullseyes and some decent scores. I mean, by no means am I like, perfect
You're not gonna
axe
quit your
thrower.
day job.
Yeah, no, I'm not about to go pro. Uh and but it was a lot of fun, and I would love to go play again. I'd love to do that again.
Yeah, the
Um
place they have near us that does the axe throwing, they actually have like leagues and everything like on weeknights and
Really?
stuff. Yeah, I guess like people are super into it. Like when I went, I had a pretty good time going. The thing that I always think is the most, I guess, interesting is there's always somebody in the group who's terrible. Like they
Yeah.
just cannot grasp it, and that is the funnest part, really. Just like watching those. Did you have anybody that threw it to where the axe like bounced in like a semi-dangerous location? Like we had one of those happen.
I don't think we had anybody where they basically threw it out of the line or went back towards us or anything like that, but we definitely had ones that when they threw it, it basically, cuz the way that it was set up, the way the range was set up, it's like in a cage almost.
Yeah.
So none of the axes can hit the ceiling. And so he threw it, and it definitely hit the top of the cage.
Oh,
Uh, but we didn't have any completely terrible ones. We had one or two people that were like, "Hey, can you guys give us some pointers here? Because we're just not quite getting the hang of it."
yeah.
But once they got it, they got it. But yeah, I don't think there were any hazards.
We had one that a girl was throwing it and it hit the target and it hit like very low on the target and I guess
Mhm.
it didn't quite stick and the axe actually bounced back like towards the group. It was pretty intense, honestly.
That must be a pretty
So
hard throw to be able to bounce it
I
like.
pretty sure that's why they have you sign the waiver.
Yeah.
I think that was that
Yep.
was the reason for the waiver is the axe coming back into the crowd.
That's fair. Yee.
But it is a really cool idea. Like I actually like when we went, they did the same thing, kind of like the crash course where he kind of goes over all the stuff and how to throw and things like that. The guy that we had at this place he was really fun. You know what I mean? Like just like kind of cool to hang out with. Like he's telling us stories of other people and stuff like that. It was pretty fun.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, but I mean, overall, we had a great time with it, and yeah, I definitely would go back again. I definitely want to for sure. Um,
If I remember correctly, it was fairly inexpensive too. Like just like a couple hours, like a pretty fairly inexpensive like activity, compared to some.
so this place is actually it's in the same place as like a gun range. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
not like it's like one of those ones where it's not like one of those ones where you can like get alcohol or something like that.
I gotcha.
Like a lot of those places, it's like an actual legit safety. I mean, and
Yeah,
in
I'd say
it,
with the gun range, they're probably not slinging beers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so the for each person, we only got an hour. For each person, I think it was $20, and we had
Yeah.
one, two, three, four, five people. I think that were
That's
there.
that's not that many. That means you guys probably got a pretty good amount of throws within that hour, I would
Oh yeah,
assume.
absolutely. Like we were able to pull off like this
Yeah.
whole competition, like friendly competition kind of thing, where it was almost like the it was like the Yahtzee of axe throwing. Like you have to like
Yeah.
get in a certain types of
Got to get like
sets and
one of every
yeah,
section.
yeah, but you
That's
had to
pretty
get
cool.
multiples. It was like because with the target, it's basically 1, 2, 3, 4, and I think the bullseye is 5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Um, well, you had to like get one bullseye. You had to like get 4 fours, 3 threes, 3 twos, 3 ones, something like that, and you had to clear all that in order to actually be the winner.
That's
Um,
pretty cool.
so yeah, they had a competition like that, and the birthday boy won. My brother-in-law won. So that was a fun time for sure. But yeah, it was very like super safety oriented. Obviously, we had a fun time, but like it wasn't that kind of a place. Um,
Yeah.
but I will say there was this one moment where basically, um, when you throw the axe, obviously you're allowed to go back down the lane and get it because there were 3 different lanes, and so it
Yeah.
wasn't like all of us on one lane. And so I walked down to get it, and my brother-in-law's brother, um, he when he would throw this axe, he was like with
Yeah, it's
all
like
the
hurling
force
it.
humanly possible. Yeah.
Those are the dangerous people.
I mean, you're not supposed to throw it gingerly or anything, but like he was like,
Yeah, but for the most part, the weight, like, I mean, it carries itself.
yeah. And this was like extra amount of force, and like I was walking back up the up my lane. Thankfully, he was in the other lane, and when he threw it, I felt the force next to me.
Oh man.
I was like, hey, Jack, you might want to lay up on that.
Maybe let me get back to safety first.
Yep, yep. I'd like to keep my face. But no, man, it was a lot of fun. It was a great
It
time
is
for
cool
sure.
to do something different like that. There's the place up here that does that that we went to also has that I can't remember what they're calling it, but it's basically like bowling, but with the football. Like you're throwing the football like at the bowling pins. Like
What?
they have like a couple of different like games like that. And I can't remember what they were calling it. It's some combination of names or something like that. But it seemed like it would be pretty cool too. I've never done that one before.
That makes me miss. There's this particular type of bowling that you can do, and it's mainly up in like Canada, and I'll have to ask Chris the Rock if he knows about this game in Canada and up in like the New England states, and it's called Candlepin Bowling, where the bowling ball is a lot smaller. It's almost like obviously it's heavier, but it's almost like was that skee ball?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
almost
Yeah.
that size,
Oh, okay.
but it's like bowling ball density. But the pins are literally they're how like the bowling pins typically are like this kind of weird
Yeah.
shape. Well, they're like super like candle looking.
Oh,
Um,
okay.
and I
That
guess
seems like it'd be really hard.
yeah, I don't know what the advantage is or disadvantage is. I just know, I mean, with the lighter ball, I mean, it's still pretty
Is
hefty,
the
but
distance like cut in half like of a regular like bowling lane or
I don't know. I'd have to look at the at what the regulation
hmm.
size is. I don't imagine that it's that much
I mean that
smaller.
distance like a regular bowling distance, I feel like that would be really hard, like with
Yeah.
that small ball.
Yeah, I'd have to see what the distance is for candlepin bowling. But yeah, you can typically whip that ball way faster than you would a
Yeah.
normal
Have you
bowling
ever
ball.
played I think it's called bocce ball, maybe?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So I imagine the ball is something like one of those,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah,
I
basically.
got you. I got you.
But yeah, you can whip that thing so much faster, and there's like entire leagues, candlepin bowling leagues. I
There
remember
are people
like,
that are intense about everything.
yep,
Yeah.
yep. If you can be competitive about it, especially in the United States, there's
Yeah.
probably a league about it.
That is
Um,
probably true.
yeah, there's a candlepin bowling alley in my neck of the woods. It was called Lita Lanes, and every Saturday they would have a televised event where it was the league of candlepin bowling on the local
It was
station.
televised and everything.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That is some serious stuff.
I'll have to see if I can find some videos. I'm sure they probably have some videos of it on like YouTube or something. But
Little pin bowling.
yep, candlepin bowling. I've also heard of duck pin bowling, and that's pretty similar to that. But in any case, yeah, man, Axe throwing's a lot of fun, man. I definitely will do it again.
Yeah, I did it with a group of people that I played volleyball with, and I actually went in expecting it to not not be that much fun. But it really was honestly like a pretty good time. It's like when you say axe throwing, like people automatically assume I think that there is danger involved.
Yeah.
They've done a really good job with the way they do these, where it's really not that unsafe.
Yeah.
I mean, anything could be unsafe because you just have unsafe people,
Right.
and usually when you go with those people, you already know who they're going to be.
Yeah, I mean, it's all common sense kind of stuff. I mean, they teach you, at least this place did, that like they teach you the
Yeah,
proper stance and everything of how to throw it and stuff, and everything else is just common sense.
yeah, that
Um,
that sounds similar to the experience that I had. They gave us a whole course at the beginning before we even got started. But I
yeah.
think they split us into like two teams, and the two teams battled each other, and then there was they gave some kind of prize for the person who scored the most points or something like that,
Yeah.
which I actually came in second for that.
Nice.
So I just missed out on first place. I think I lost on one of the last throws. So it was actually like it came down to the wire. So it was even a little bit more fun, because there's like a little bit more riding on it.
The instructor that was there supervising the range person that was instructing us and everything, he kept trying to put down money. He's like, I got money in my pocket. Here's $20 right here. I'm like, nope.
He's probably trying to make everything more interesting because he's watching people do the axe throwing all day.
Yeah, and I'm sure even though technically that wasn't his particular station, he was subbing for somebody because normally
Oh,
he's
gotcha.
he's the like the gun range master, and so or whatever that's called. And so he
Yeah,
was
I don't know what they're.
there. They called him a certain name, but I don't know what that is. But yeah, he
The
was,
Grand Poobah,
yes, the master of ranging.
Master of Ceremonies.
Yes. Um, but yeah, so he definitely had some experience with it, because he's like, and he was like this jacked like guy who's in the army and everything like
Looked
that.
like he was an axe thrower. Like,
Yeah, yeah,
actually, the guy. So when we showed up at first, like I just assumed, that it would just be some regular guy or whatever. And the guy that was giving us the whole training, like was literally looked like a Viking. Like as soon as I walked in there, like he had long dreaded hair with a huge beard, like tattoos all over him. I was like, man, this guy was born for this exact job. Like,
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Thor Odinson.
yeah, exactly.
Um, but yeah, man. Yeah, he kept trying to put down $20. I'm like, no, man, I'm not betting on you. Absolutely not.
There's got to be some kind of rule against that, like betting customers.
Yeah, nobody there to stop him. So,
I
but
mean, I guess.
yeah, but no. Overall had a fun time, and then like I said, yeah, it was birthday weekend, so we had my brother-in-law's birthday on Saturday night, and then my nephew's birthday on Sunday, and
Was that a father and son? Your brother-in-law and his son have like
yes, yes,
close. That's kind of cool.
yeah, yeah, like I said, my nephew's birthday is March 1st, and his birthday is March 3rd.
Gotcha.
So,
Almost made it.
yep.
Almost made it to have the same birthday.
Well, my dad, like, he was like telling my mom, don't you dare have him on my birthday, because my dad's birthday is the day before mine.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, he's like, don't you dare have him on my birthday. So
You held out one day.
Yeah, she held out just long enough.
Yeah, I think my dad's birthday is boy, I have the hardest time remembering this date. It's like early on. I think it's November 8th, maybe.
Yeah.
And mine is the 28th in November. So we're usually same month. So we always end up getting together at some point.
I always feel bad because I remember birthdays. Like I remember my dad's birthday, obviously, and then I remember my stepmom's birthday. I don't. I know it's like sometime in April or May. I constantly forget my parents' anniversary. I
Yeah,
don't know why.
I'm really bad about like I always hate like being like the prototypical guy, like on certain things. Like
Yeah.
everybody's like, oh yeah, guys don't remember like anniversaries and stuff like that. But honestly, like it has just naturally happened that way.
Yeah.
Like I do my best to remember things, but man, some dates are just hard to remember.
I've got my anniversary down. Got that. Got that
As
all
long as you
set
got
though.
that, I feel
Yeah.
like you're okay.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
the important one.
Yeesh. But yeah, so we had a lot of fun, but let me tell you, I feel like you're in one of two camps with kids. You either
I already
really
can't wait for
love
this.
kids, or you just,
You
well,
don't,
maybe
or you
yeah,
don't.
or you don't. Yeah. No, I can't say I'm 100% like that. I take that back. But um, if you ever want a means of birth control, go to a child's birthday party.
Just hang out with a bunch of kids. I'm 100%. I believe that we are the same on this particular category. I you know what? Since I don't have kids, I literally like I don't even know how to talk to young kids for the most part. I don't know. Like my cousin, two of my cousins were actually they play volleyball on Fridays now in another league, and so they show up and they both have like fairly new babies. They were both born. One was born this year, and I think the other was born at the end of last year. So they're both like, really, really young.
Yeah.
And they bring their babies up there. And, of course, like Elizabeth is like, she just picks one up naturally. And she's just like, it's like all this, like, she just automatically knows how to, just handle a kid.
She's got the mom gene.
And yeah, no. And I'm like, they're like, oh, do you want to hold the baby? And I'm like, not really. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
No, I mean, like you're going to enjoy it more than I am. So you should probably just hold it. Like, I don't want to stand here nervous the whole time, like holding somebody else's kid.
Yeah.
But what I end up doing is I can't, in my mind, it's like I'm blocked. I can only, like, when I'm looking at a baby or like talking to a baby, I revert immediately into my dog talking voice. Where I'm just calling them a pretty girl or boy, basically. Like, and I don't know how to distinguish the difference. Like, I just, that's what I end up doing. I go into like dog talk mode, basically, with kids also.
Who's a good human being?
Yeah, who's a good little girl. Yeah, and it just ends up happening. I always feel really bad. That's like these people's kids. Like, I'm just doing my best out there, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I can handle kids. I like kids until they start crying or whining, and that's the thing about kids is like somehow they have tapped into a decibel level that's easily like 20 to 30 decibels higher than anybody else. Like,
that is true, man. If you're not used to it, like it just cuts right into you and you're like, I have got to get out of here.
I feel like you could be in the most crowded place in the world, like a super crowded restaurant or something like that, and baby cry or toddler cry just cuts through all of that.
Yeah. Honestly, I always feel bad for the parents because it's like, I mean, I know this isn't your fault or anything, but man, this is rough.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting because like it was my nephew's second birthday. And so, terrible twos, they're at that age.
We're talking little kids into everything.
Yeah. And these kids are very early days about learning how to share. And
that's a lot of crying.
Yeah.
Sounds like.
And so there were a few times where it's my nephew's birthday and he's opening gifts and everything like that, and there was another couple that was there with their 2 or 3 year old daughter, and you could tell she was very much an only child. Because
she wanted presents also.
Yes, she wanted to like open everything for him or open them with him. And it's like, no, come on. No, it's his birthday. He's opening the presents. And she would like immediately, as soon as he opened something, she would immediately try to take it from him. And my nephew has got the best looks down in terms of like, girl, you better step off kind of thing.
Yeah, I always love seeing those on little kids. Those are the best.
It was the best. But yeah, there were plenty of times where like we had kids there that were like super high level whine crying, and you're just like, okay, here, you can have him or her back now.
Yeah.
And
That's,
so,
I feel like when they start to cry and you're holding them, like, up, where's mom and dad at?
yep, I
This
broke
is
it.
their turn here. Like, yeah, that not working for me.
Yep. But you know, and at one point, one day, you know, I'll probably have kids in some way. But I,
Yeah. And
I
then we'll be more prepared.
yeah. But
But
right
until
now,
then, I'm on the same page as you for sure. Like
yeah.
it is, it's just if you haven't had them, like you just haven't like crossed into that level of your life yet, where you're just like ready for that stuff,
Yeah.
or prepped in any way, because you're just never like prepped. So
Yeah.
I assume the beginning, like of having children, has got to just be an absolute disaster.
Right, right. Well, I mean, basically, like when we were kids, like you thought your parents had it all together. Like they were just as like clueless as we are
How we
now.
realized they were just like kids that were trying to keep their own crap together, you know? Yeah,
But it's just a never ending cycle of that. But
yeah.
it's all good. But yeah, it was a pretty crazy weekend for me in terms of birthday parties. But it was a lot of fun. I just don't know that I would do back to back birthday parties like that. Like I have more props to my brother and sister in law for, and both of them were hosted at their house. So um, that's craziness to me. But
I feel like that's one of those things though. So that's one of those things that like kids prepare you for, because like you end up having a lot of these things like for your kids, you know,
yeah,
and like as like, and maybe you won't be able to relate, but like obviously it's just me and Elizabeth.
yeah,
So like when somebody's like, oh hey, we're going out to dinner for, you know, to celebrate this person's birthday, and we're like, I don't know if we're gonna be able to make it tonight,
yeah,
but we like appreciate like, you know what I mean? Like we don't go out that often. We stay in a lot.
yeah.
So like when we have to go out, it's this whole thing. But I assume like once you have kids, like yeah, then you're probably just going out all the time and always going to separate places.
I
So
feel
maybe we're just not prepped for it yet.
yeah, I feel like that could go two different ways. Just because um, like yeah, you'd be going out for birthday parties a lot, but at the same time, like knowing kids and the way that kids are, like you have to add at least an extra 30 minutes to every process for each kid that you have. Um,
Man,
so
that'd be rough.
because yeah, because just trying to get families out the door anywhere is insane. So
Yeah, I mean right now, I mean I think I could shower, get dressed, and be just like ready to rock and roll in about 20 minutes. Like,
yeah,
and that's like pretty generous amount of time. Like I'm sure it could be done in less. But yeah, trying to get like other human beings ready, like that's just a whole another story. Trying to get everybody presentable before they walk out of the house.
yep, yep. Goodness,
I understand why all those people are late all the time. Like I totally get it.
yep, absolutely. Ronnie, you got anything you want to talk
Do
about? Do
I
you?
do. So actually, I want to talk about today first of all, just because of how today ended up going for me. So I will preface the story by saying at work, every year I have to work with IT, and different subsections of IT to complete like a yearly project, which is the bonuses for the people that I like monitor their compensation system.
Mm,
Um, and every year there's normally there's changes, like slight changes. But in the past like few years, because of COVID and with the market and you know basically everything fluctuating, going up and down, that has changed year to year fairly drastically. So what that means is my job more or less is to monitor the compensation system, not necessarily. My job isn't to be a project manager, but
mm-hmm.
what it has become is being a project manager at some point every year
Yeah.
for this project. And This year's no different. Like a lot of things have changed. We'll need new reports, new just a new process really in the way things are paid and the way their like bonuses will go. That all that has changed over the past 3 years every year, just because of the way like the economy is really.
Yeah.
So this year's no different. And recently, within the past week or two, all of that process has started. So normally sometime in March is when that starts. I get all the new information kind of from the top, and it trickles down, and then I figure out, hey, well, this is what we need to do to get that into place, and that process has started. So work is frustrating
Yeah.
during these times.
Your own little March
Um,
Madness.
yeah, it is. It's a different kind of March
Yeah.
Madness for
Yeah.
me. Yeah. And it's one of those things where I've never, I've never been a project manager. I don't know, I hardly know anything about IT and what they do and their systems and their processes. Um, so the way my project is a little bit different is there's not really like a liaison somewhere in the middle where I would tell them what I want and then they would lay it out for the IT person in IT format, which would make them understand it.
Yeah.
I don't really have that. So the past couple of years, it's been me talking to IT directly, and like I have one guy in IT, like he's awesome. Like me and him have a great working relationship, and usually I'm able to get the point across. But there are some times where I'm trying to tell him what I need from a business standpoint, and he's trying to figure out what I mean from an IT standpoint. So there's this barrier that is not that easy to get over at first.
It's like two people speaking different languages to each other.
It really is when they're talking like two IT guys talking to each other about work. Like I might as well just keep going. Like I don't know any of that. In the past few years, I have learned a few things where this year was different. I actually am like, I think we can kind of utilize some of the things we already have in the system if we just tweak them. And I was giving examples and things like that. So it was really it went better this year than it ever has gone, just because I've learned from mistakes over the past few years, and just learned the things that work. But that process has started for me, so it is a little more frustrating. I have a lot of people emailing me and calling me from different areas, all these different areas that need to be worked. And so I already knew waking up this morning that was going to happen. So I woke up this morning feeling like absolute crap, which is no different than any morning.
Okay.
Like every morning I wake up and like I don't want to be awake. So like, I'm not a morning person. I hate the mornings.
Yeah, I'm not a big morning person either.
I woke up and I was already like a little grouchy, and then I came into like, a few different emails, like a few different requests, and I see that they were sent at like 7:30 last night, and I'm like, what is the deal with people? Like, what are you working all night? So I was aggravated by that.
Yeah.
And then the whole day, like it was just one of those days where like everything is just aggravating. And so like for the most part of the day, I would consider myself as having a bad day. Just kind of grouchy. I tried to lay down at lunch. I was going to like just lay down and take a nap for, 30, 40 minutes or something like that. Just didn't work out. Like when I'm on a timetable to sleep, like then I'm thinking about like, if I go to sleep right now, I can get like 35 minutes. And then like as soon as you start thinking that way, like it's just working against you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the cats like was just extra needy all day, like wanted to be like on my lap or like looking out the window behind me on my desk. So it's like that was another thing, and I'm like just trying to be, yeah, I'm just I'm trying to be just nice about it. And like while this is happening, like the other cat knocks over her food bowl, and I can hear it on the hardwood floors out in the living room. She's knocked over like a full bowl of cat food. It's everywhere. So I got to go out there and like vacuum it. Just like little bitty things that like just kept happening,
That's that snowball effect.
Yeah, it really is. And it was because I was already aggravated. Like it was because of the way I felt that things were bad anyways. Otherwise they just would have been normal things,
Yeah.
But I also knew that tonight I was going out to dinner with my grandma and my aunt. And my grandma, I just recently turned 90.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a little while since we've been out to dinner with her, and it's something I used to do once a month, and I got away from that, and I regret getting away from that. So I'm definitely gonna make a change there. That way we're gonna see her a lot more often and go out. We went out to the Cheesecake Factory. And you know what? Like just immediately. It really is a fantastic place. Like I've never had anything that I did not like from there.
Yep.
So we sat down at the table, and in all honesty, like just sitting down at the table, like with my grandma and my aunt, like I was automatically in a better mood. Like just immediately. Like it was
Nice.
fantastic, really. And like we had a great dinner and everything. Like we had a little bit of wine. My grandma didn't drink wine. She's like, no, I don't think I want to have any. Um, but me and Elizabeth and my other aunt, you know, we had some wine and everything, and had a really good dinner. And at the end, I went into this like I'm buying dinner, like I'm buying their dinner too. Like I wasn't. I was just gonna go behind their back and like walk up, like I was gonna go to the restroom or something, and just be like, here, like, just put it on this, you know.
Yeah.
But I decided I was just gonna tell them, like, well, I'm gonna pay for dinner, and they're like, no, no, no. I'm like, well, I was like, if you guys say no, like I'm just gonna go up there. And I was like, I'm pretty fast.
This is happening either way.
I'm pretty fast. There's nothing you can do about it, really. You can accept it. So they were really appreciative of that, and like, you know, that always feels good.
Yeah.
Because there's a certain point in your life where, like, you know, we've become adults, and it's like, no, you don't you don't have to pay for dinner every time we go out just because like I'm your grandchild. Like,
Yeah. You've treated me out enough.
I'm sneaking up on mid-30s here. Like I'm fine. Like I've been I've been out in the world by myself for a while now. So
Yeah. Absolutely.
but it made me feel really good. We had a great dinner. Like it completely turned around the day, like just immediately. And I'm sure there's a lesson to be learned in there. Like maybe don't be a hothead or be grouchy in the mornings. Like don't let the little things get to you. But today was just one of those days where it did.
Yeah.
And I'm really glad we had that dinner, because I was actually like, I don't want to say that I wasn't looking forward to dinner, because that makes it seem like I didn't want to go. I don't want to go out to dinner with my family.
Sure.
I wasn't looking forward to dinner. And I even told this to Elizabeth, like we are, you know, just honest and upfront, like say it how it is type thing.
Right.
And I was like, I'm really just grouchy that I have to go be nice. Really. I just want to be mean. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just like, I'm grouchy and I'm gonna have to go be nice because it's my grandmother. And of course, you know, there are some rules that just are never broken. And that's one of them. You are nice to your grandparents. Like, so, but yeah, no, it like literally turned around. It was a great evening. And yeah, sure. Like I said, there's a lesson in there somewhere, but it was a really nice turnaround.
Dude, I know exactly how that is, just because like last week, you know me, I'm not the kind of person that like flies off the handle or anything like that. I'm
Yeah.
a pretty even keel kind of chill person. But when something makes me angry, or upset, like it doesn't, I don't so much lash out, so much as like internally, like I just feel it just completely stewing up inside of me, and
I get really quiet.
Yeah, it affects.
Yeah.
It affects everything I do, and you know me and my job. I'm in customer service,
Yeah.
and like that whole day, trying to trying to function and have that customer service voice on when I've got like this war raging inside me.
You're just ready to go.
Yeah.
I've definitely been in that scenario.
Every phone call is like, no, I don't want to do
Yeah,
this.
as soon as they ask, you're like, oh, unbelievable. Like,
Yeah. But
those are the days you don't get any easy calls.
Yep, absolutely. But
it seems like the world is like, let's just see what he can take today. Let's see what'll push him over the edge.
Let's turn it up to 11 a little bit.
Let's crank the knob just a little bit.
But yeah.
But yeah, it was honestly, it was a fantastic dinner. Like I was so happy to go see her. It's been a long time, and you know, especially with COVID and stuff, and her being older, and you know, if I at any point like feel sick at all, like everything aside, like I'm absolutely not going. Like, you know what I mean? Like not even in question. So but yeah, it was fantastic. And the Cheesecake Factory really is, that place is awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, I love grandparents. You know, it's definitely been awesome. Because my grandparents have all long since passed away. And so when I got married to Kristen, you know, I had grandparents again, which was fantastic. And her grandparents have been the best. They are super, super nice, super caring, super fun people. And we've been on through a lot of fun times together, and it's just awesome to hang around grandparents and get to learn all their sagely advice and
Yeah.
all their fun quirks. And um I just want to
It's
give
funny how the
oh
it's
go ahead.
funny how the transition happens. So, and this sounds funny because I'm 34 now, but I realize if you were to roll the clock back 5, 10 years, like, no, I was definitely angrier, meaner, like all of these things. I would be quicker to, like, shoot off at the mouth or something, like with, whatever.
Yeah.
And now it's like, as I get older, I'm like I will sit patiently
Yeah.
and think about what I'm going to say,
Yeah.
before I say it. And if you just extrapolate that to how old like grandparents would be, like I can totally understand. Like they have it figured out by that time. Like
Yeah.
they don't waste their time on little things. And yeah, it's a really cool thing.
Yeah. So not to bring the room down too much, but I want to give a shout out to for my wife's grandfather. His name's Paul. He's an awesome guy, just like super like southern,
Yeah.
wise old man who liked to crack jokes and things like that. Um, and unfortunately, he passed away on Sunday,
Mm.
and he was dealing with stage 4 lung cancer.
Ah,
Um, so which I think he was diagnosed in like October, November, or something like that. And honestly, I think that's better to not have it drawn out. Obviously, you want to spend as much time with family as possible, but
yeah. I mean, for selfish reasons, you want them to be around forever. And
yeah,
but yeah, I do. I guess, obviously, like, and I think I've shared it with some of you guys. Like, we've all had losses in our lives and things like that. And somewhere along the way, I tried to, I guess, look at them a little, like, look at loss a little bit differently.
yeah,
And I know a lot of people say, like, they don't say it's a funeral, it's a celebration of life, or whatever. But I truly believe that there is something to be said about that, a celebration of their life.
yeah,
People getting together, talking about all of the fun, hilarious things that they did, funny things that they said, and just remembering them is truly just like an awesome thing.
yeah,
Even though they're not here, like I said, selfishly, yeah, we want them here as long as we can, but that's just for us. It's not for them.
sure,
They're going to go off to a better place, and we're going to be better for knowing them.
yeah,
So
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I like calling it celebration of life just because like it doesn't have to be all dark and
yeah,
down and sad all the time. But I mean, obviously, especially in terms of me in my faith, um, the Bible talks about there being a time for mourning and a time for laughter as well. So obviously,
yeah.
mourning is a good thing. It's a healing thing.
Yeah, I
Um,
mean, when you love somebody like that, it's just that there's always going to be mourning for your loss. It's
yeah.
impossible to replace a person, that you love.
Yep. Absolutely. But we'll have a lot of fun celebrating his life. But I've been super thankful to have grandparents again, and obviously we're gonna make sure we take care of her grandmother now that her grandfather has passed on.
Yeah,
Um, but dude was just an awesome dude, and just a wise guy, and um, just a solid person, a solid, nice, caring, compassionate person, who loved his family. So,
yeah.
um, but yeah,
There was just to, I guess, kind of add to that. So obviously, like, I'm still based on via Facebook and things like that. My ex-wife's family, they were in my life for a long time. So a lot of them I still keep an eye on and everything. And I think it's been maybe 2 weeks since her grandfather had passed away.
mm-hmm.
It was kind of an unexpected thing. It was a stroke that kind of led to other complications, and
Mm,
there shortly after he passed. And I was texting back and forth. Her mother had reached out and kind of let me know what was going on. And I sent a long message back, and it got me thinking about a couple of things that he did, like that whole just like really, good older guy. Like, um, he was a guy that made me feel like extremely welcome, being a brand new kid coming into like a family Christmas, at the first place or something like that.
Yeah.
And one of the things he used to do, and I think a lot of us have seen, our older grandparents do things like this, is it would be at a family function, Christmas or something like that, kids opening gifts, or whatever, just people gathered around. He would sit, just somewhere like, it wouldn't necessarily be in a corner, but he would be sitting somewhere in the room around the outside, and he would just be watching everybody, not saying anything, just smiling and literally taking in and enjoying his time, like with his family.
Yeah.
And that is a thing that I think as you get older, those things that are really important, they've already figured those things out. Like they know what that is. And it's a great thing to like see, somebody that is, just really just loves, they would just love to sit back and watch their family be together and have a good time and things like that. So I always really appreciated that when I see that happening with people.
Yeah, I feel like when you're older like that, like you have a lot of opportunity to kind of slow down and see the bigger picture and appreciate
Yeah.
and be thankful for everything that you have, and especially family. And I know my wife's grandfather definitely did that. He loved spending time with family.
Yeah.
They always would bend over backwards every year to make sure that because I go with them to the Outer Banks every year,
Yeah.
which is like the beach area in North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
and they would always make sure, like, can we fit everybody in here in this
Yeah.
house, and because that was.
Yeah. They just want everybody together.
Yep. Yep. So it's always been sweet times for sure.
Yeah.
So, but
That is really
I'm
cool.
I'm thankful for grandparents. I'm thankful for him and his life and his family, and what he did for them in so many ways, and how much family meant to him, and how much he would pray for us daily. We'd hear, like, he'd talk to us about, with praying for us by name daily and things like that. So I'm super thankful for him and his faith and everything. So, but
Yeah.
not to bring things down too much, but
My
when
my grandmother that I went out with tonight, she she must have the longest prayer list like known to mankind. Like I don't know how long it takes her before she gets to bed at night, but it has got to be at least a solid 30 minutes. Like
yeah,
she has a ton of grandkids, great grandkids, and she just tries to pray for everybody every time, like individual people. And yeah, I mean, she just goes through it every single night. So
sweet, that's awesome. Um, so I watched a movie this
oh
past
yeah.
week. It was pretty sweet. I, I'm not a stranger to admitting on this show how much, like, Pat and I both are like huge fans of like time travel
Mm-hmm.
type stuff. And I watched this movie called The Atom Project, which is
Hmm.
on Netflix. It stars Ryan Reynolds, and I think Zoe Saldana is in it. Gamora from Guardians of the
Okay.
Galaxy.
I'm glad you said
Um,
that because I would not have known.
and also Mark Ruffalo is in it.
Okay.
He plays
Banner.
no, but somebody very much like David, like
Bruce
Bruce
Banner.
Banner. Sorry,
Yeah.
I almost went with the '70s Hulk where they called him David Banner. Um, but yeah, he's very much a Bruce Banner like science guy kind of person in this
And he
movie.
plays a good science guy.
Yeah. But yeah, I absolutely love this movie. It's on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, it's there
The
now.
Atom Project, it's called.
Yeah, the Atom
Like the
Project.
atom is an ATOM.
No, the ADAM Project.
ADAM.
Yeah. And if you watch the movie, you'll understand why it's called that.
Ah.
But yeah, it's basically about this 12-year-old boy who's bullied and all this kind of stuff, and he's a complete nerd, and he ends up through a series of events meeting his future self, who is played by Ryan Reynolds.
Huh,
And
that
you
sounds
know,
cool.
yeah, it's really sweet.
I really like Ryan Reynolds. I mean, he is. Is it a comedy or is he like dead
Oh, it's
serious in this
it's
movie?
very much a comedy, very
Okay.
much a comedy. And the best thing about it is the kid who plays his 12-year-old self has his personality down to a T.
Really?
Like they nailed this when they cast him, like down to his mannerisms and everything. And there's actually
That's impressive.
there's a video online, and I will warn anybody, it does have plenty of language in it, but there's a video online where this kid who they cast as his younger self is such a fan of Ryan Reynolds. He has the entire introductory sequence to Deadpool 2 memorized. And
That's sweet.
and he was reciting it, and Ryan Reynolds was recording all of this, and he has his mannerisms down and everything. It's like watching a little Ryan Reynolds.
Man, you think of the cool things we thought like were awesome when we were kids, and then this kid is doing something like that. Like,
Yeah.
man, that's crazy.
It's crazy, but man, kid has a filthy mouth. If I were his parents, like, oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
that's got to be a slippery slope, man. If your kid's like an actor and young like that, and
Yeah.
depending on what you get, like I guess cast in.
Yeah. Yeah, and he definitely he lets some fly in the actual movie. So this is a movie that's got plenty of cussing and stuff in it. So for
Not
anybody
for
who
the
would want
children.
to, yeah, not really for the children. But still, it's a lot of fun. It's always interesting to see, because like my baseline for time travel films obviously is like Back to the Future. And so there have been a bunch of time travel movies that they have their own rules. Like obviously Endgame had time travel rules and
Hmm.
things like that.
Did
And
you ever
then
see 11? Was it 11/22/63 with James Franco about the Kennedy
I
assassination?
I had seen commercials about it. I've never actually watched it.
It's pretty good. I think if you like time travel, it's a really cool piece.
I may need to check that out. But yeah, I'm really into like, and this is like the futuristic type of time travel
Nice.
type stuff, and they have their own rules and things like that. And the fun thing is like they break a bunch of the rules that like other movies have set up in terms of time travel,
Yeah.
which was I thought was like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah. I mean,
But
there have been. I actually think that in Endgame they kind of made a joke about that.
yeah,
I think it was he's like, like we don't bet on any sports. Like,
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
that whole conversation with like
yeah, exactly.
with I think it was Bucky and Rhodey
Yeah,
and
and I know it was Ant-Man, Rhodey, obviously Iron Man in that one.
yeah.
But he's like, wait a minute, you're not basing this whole thing on like on the movies, right? He's like, because you had me scared there for a second. One of the ones they mentioned is like Hot Tub Time Machine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's this movie's a lot of fun. And it's very much a throwback to like 80s films. It definitely
Hmm.
has that 80s film type of vibe, adventure type of vibe. Um, so I highly recommend that you watch it. Ryan Reynolds is funny as always in this movie for sure. And I think they did a great job with it. So I highly recommend.
Check out the Adam Project.
I will give the Adam Project. Let's give it. Um, let's do 9.5 jump punches to the face out of 10.
All right, that's a pretty good rating.
Yep.
You know what I saw this week? It was on TV. I was just kind of flipping through the channels and I decided to watch it. Um, Last Action Hero.
Oh my gosh, with Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yes. I haven't seen it in forever. Like, I mean, I feel like the last time I watched it, I was probably a kid. But honestly, like I still enjoyed it. Like, I mean, I don't know necessarily if I would say that it definitely holds up,
Yeah.
because it's exactly what you think it is. But No, I mean, I enjoyed it. It was pretty solid.
Sweet.
I
I
also did. Oh no, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've only ever seen bits and pieces of Last Action Hero. But every time I've seen it, I'm like, man, this is like stereotypical '90s Arnold
it,
Schwarzenegger.
it's like every movie when we were kids. Yeah,
Yep,
yeah,
absolutely.
that's exactly right. I did play a new game this week.
Did you now?
So I will say I'm currently kind of on the hunt for a new Xbox. And I say kind of because like I'm not going to get up every morning and check, but like like I'll probably go to Best Buy this week and see if they have any in stock. They did actually have some in stock like 2 weeks ago, but turns out that was before I was still broke 2 weeks ago. So
Yeah, that'll do it.
yeah, turns out selling a house is a lot of money. It costs a lot also.
Mm.
But now we're in a different place.
Yeah,
So I definitely want to get that. Everybody's trying to talk me into a PlayStation. And it's not that I don't want a PlayStation. I just don't know that I can justify it, you know?
yeah,
I want to play Elden Ring. I
sure.
know a lot of people have been playing that lately. I've watched a few videos and it looks like it's a difficult game, but I'm gonna have to at least get in there and try it. So
Every video I have watched, for the most part, of Elden Ring, just screams guaranteed throw controller at the wall.
you're going to die and be frustrated. I have had the same experience, where, but also like that part makes me want to play it even more.
Yeah.
So we'll see when that happens. Hopefully, you know, maybe this weekend, when I'm out, I'll stop and check in.
Now,
My
are you
buddy has
gonna?
a buddy that works at Best Buy right down the street from us, and
Okay.
um, hopefully he'll be able to tell me when they get the next like shipment of them in.
Now, are you gonna go for a Series X or are you gonna go for the Series S,
X is the one with the,
the
what
more
is that, a
powerful one?
terabyte or something?
Yeah,
Or
the more powerful one, the big black
yeah,
box.
I am gonna buy the big refrigerator. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sweet deal.
I you know what, this last Xbox that I bought, it was the less memory one.
Yeah.
I don't recall exactly what model it was, but I will never make that mistake again.
Mm, okay.
So
Yeah,
I
that's
learned my lesson
hey, go big
with
or
that
go
one.
home with that. Yeah.
Um,
Um.
Obviously the game that I played is not an Xbox game. It
Okay.
is a Nintendo Switch game.
Ooh.
So it's called Blazing Beaks.
Blazing Beaks. I haven't
Like
heard of that one.
like blazing beaks as in birds. So what it is I think see, I always struggle with what these games are called, like the types of games. Like Lucas will be like, this is a roguelike game.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is like that. It's very much like Enter the Gungeon or Hades, where you start from the beginning every time. There's multiple characters you can choose from. These characters all have different weapons, different like attributes. They do different things, and it's very like the style is old school arcade. So it's not like these unbelievable graphics or anything, but you can play up to 4-player co-op, which I've only played 2-player co-op before. I would assume would just be an absolute nightmare because the
Yeah.
levels are not that big. But anyways, you clear levels, and at the end of every section, there's a boss, and within that, there's a shop in every section where you can give back. You can buy new guns, or other things. The difference with this game, which is kind of cool and also frustrating when you're playing it, is as you're going through the levels, the enemies will drop abilities that you can pick up, and each of these abilities do something different. Um, but as you're going through the level, they are all negatives, so they're all something that makes you worse.
Oh,
And then when
okay.
you get to the shop, you trade all these abilities in, and he gives you a pile of good stuff.
Hmm.
But until you get to the shop, you have to deal with all these things.
Oh my gosh.
So it's a little bit different of like a thing. Like it might be like minus 40% reloading speed, minus 40% like fire rate, and things like these. And some of them are horrible. Like
Yeah.
if you touch an enemy, you die. Like
Yeah.
total.
That's a
Yeah, like,
nightmare.
but the ones that are worse carry like a higher weight for the shop. So like on
Hmm.
the one where if you make contact with an enemy, the game is over. Like that might have a lot higher weight than like minus 1 heart, or something like that.
Yeah.
So when you get to the shop, those big ones, are the ones that give you the best items going forward. But also, it's one of those games you have to make a decisions on some of them. Like, do I even want to pick this up? You
Yeah.
know, like if you're at the first map on like a new world, you don't know exactly when that shop is going to come into play.
Yeah.
So
I feel like this game screams Lucas. Like I feel like
it really does.
yeah.
It really does. I think he's like, I'm gonna force him to buy this. Um,
So it is a roguelite.
okay,
Roguelite
so
game.
that's what I was thinking. I think the game was $1.99.
Oh, can't
Not
beat that.
not expensive. I actually had $4 in credits on my Nintendo account, so I just got it for free.
Nice.
Um, but it is fun. It is fun. I haven't actually gotten past the second boss yet.
Okay.
Only because by the time I get there, every time, like I am so depleted, and I've unlocked a few things or whatever. But yeah, it is really fun. At the very beginning, you get to choose from all these different types of birds. My favorite bird is the chicken, because the chicken has like a sniper rifle which fires like across the map. I just feel like it's the most consistent gun, and he has like
Hmm.
4 hearts. And there's a guy that has like a machine gun, but he only has like 2 hearts, so you have like half of the health.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is difficult because they do that abilities thing where every ability you pick up is a negative. So once you stack up a couple of those, like by the time you get to like the shop, like your guy's just a piece of crap. Like just it's frustrating too because you want to carry as many as you can, but you also want to survive. So it's a weird.
You've been.
Um, the one thing I haven't done is looked it up online to see what people's strategies have been,
Oh
like
yeah.
what people have found to be. I mean, I definitely will do that because I want to make it further in the game. But I figured I would get in there. You know, I've probably made a total of like 20 runs maybe on it, and some of them are pretty short lived. I mean, you can get killed pretty fast.
Hmm.
So,
Sounds
but
like.
it does scream Lucas. Once I started playing it, I was like, oh man, like it's pretty. It's a Lucas game, I think for sure.
Yep. Screams not for me.
Yeah, it is. It's not incredibly difficult gameplay.
Okay.
The game style is like a 2D. You're like over top kind of the whole map.
Yeah.
So it's not crazy hard or anything like that. It's hard to not get killed at times for sure. But yeah, that's the new thing going in right now. That's kind of like the hold me over until I get an Xbox game.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, so I needed a nice little bridge there for that gap.
Sweet. Sweet deal. I haven't really gotten into much of anything in terms of gaming this week. It's been a weird week, but I think I may jump into. I think I've talked about this game on the podcast before. It's a game called Tunic, which is very much a an homage to Zelda games,
Yeah.
but it has been referred to as the Elden Ring of Zelda games.
Ooh.
So I don't know if I'm gonna try it or not, just because that
Man, when
automatically
they
turns
slapped that
me off.
Elden Ring thing on it.
Yeah, yeah.
I think did I send you guys the video from Elden Ring where the guy's like he's going into this boss fight and he's like only 250 people have beat this boss. He's like that can't be right, and then the boss just like annihilates him in one shot and he's like
Sounds
yeah
about
that's
right.
right.
Yeah.
That sounds about right. Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, but we'll see. We'll see if I try it out. This weekend's gonna be a little busy, but I may give it a shot. We'll see. But anything else you want to put out there on the line? All hearts clear.
You know, I think I can save stuff for the next time. I want to
Okay.
complain about the Reds, but Pat's not here, so it's
Yeah, you need
just.
Pat for that.
I mean, I want to complain so much, so I'll hold on to that until next time.
Sounds like a plan. All right. Well, of course, you can find us. Just to do a little bit of housekeeping, you can find us, of course, wherever podcasts are available, whether that be on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or Google Podcasts or Stitcher, anywhere where podcasts are found. We would appreciate if you write us a review. If you like what you hear or like what you see, obviously you can definitely give us a review, and it helps us be seen and heard a lot more by more people. So we would very much appreciate it. Of course, you can also catch us on Twitch. We have our GMG stream team that we basically somebody's covering most of the week in terms of our streams, whether it be Chris, The Rock, Kerwin, or Lucas, or myself on Saturdays, which actually this weekend I will be streaming on Sunday just because Friday and Saturday are going to be busy as crap for me. So be paying attention to our social media as to when that will be. But we'll be playing more Zelda Ocarina of Time. So you can pretty much catch us on streams wherever, mainly on Twitch. And you can also call us via our GMG hotline at 929 GMG guys.
Been a while since we've had a good call.
Yeah, we'd appreciate it if you dust the cobwebs off and give us one voicemail, Bernabe. One voicemail.
Limit of one per customer.
Yes, please. But you can let your voice be heard that way. But yeah, thank you so much for listening to this very atypical episode of the Good Morning Guys podcast. For myself, Ronnie J, and the spirit of Pat and Lucas, and we'll continue to pray for Lucas's internet as it is tossing its cookies. But yeah, thank you so much for listening, and may God bless and guide your lives as you live, as you work, and as you game.